So we have two types of argument. We have inductive and we have a deductive. An inductive argument is a type of argument where the premises intend to add support. Inductive arguments are the type of arguments where the premises, these premises, are intending to support your conclusion. They try to make it more likely. The goal is 51%. 51% is more likely than not, right? To prove a case, you have to prove the case to be more likely than not. But with inductive arguments, you can never know whether it's true or false. And it's never proven. That's not its intent. Its intent is only to add support, not to prove. Deductive arguments, the premises are intending to prove the conclusion true. The premises usually include absolutes. Things like all, always. With an inductive argument, we call inductive arguments weak or strong. With deductive arguments, we call them valid or invalid. So the goal of a deductive argument is to create a valid argument, a valid deductive argument. An inductive argument cannot be valid because it can never be proven true or false. This one, the point of it is, can we look to see whether it's true or false? This one is only simply, is it weak or strong? Did it reach that 51% threshold? If so, that's a strong argument. It's more likely than not that our conclusion is true. If we didn't reach our 51% threshold, then it's a weak argument. It's not likely to be true. What if I were to say, John lives in Newport Beach, California. Therefore, by the way, when I put a line like that, it means therefore. Sometimes I'll do this, 3 dots. 3 dots means therefore. Sometimes I'll do this. So John lives in Newport Beach, California, therefore John lives in the United States. We have claims. John lives in the United States is our claim. That's what we're arguing for, right? That's our conclusion. What are we given as support for it? Another claim called a premise. This premise is given as a reason for believing this is more likely true. What type of an argument is it? Is it the type of argument where this is given simply as support, or this is given to absolutely prove this to be true? Prove. A deductive argument is a type of argument where if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true. And if that's the case, it's a valid argument. And you can kind of read through and say, is the goal here to prove our conclusion true if this is true? I underline if, and I underline must. So this is our analysis of deductive arguments to see whether they're valid. To check the validity of a deductive argument, to see whether your deductive argument is valid or invalid, we look and we say, if our premise is true, or premises are true, must our conclusion follow and be true? Because our conclusion must follow and flow. What does it mean to follow and flow? It naturally makes sense, right? It naturally flows from the premise to the conclusion. You go, okay, we're talking about where John lives. We're talking about locations. It follows, it flows. See how this follows and flows from our premise? And if our premise is true, our conclusion can't be false. Or it's impossible for our premise to be true and our conclusion to be false. Is it deductive? Yes, because the intent is for our premise to prove our conclusion. Is it valid? For validity, we must, if our premises are true, conclusion must be false. Okay, so let's do that. If it's true, must, or is it impossible for the premise to be true and conclusion false? Well, if this is true, is it possible for this to be false? If it's true that John lives in Newport Beach, California, must it follow that John lives in the United States? Yeah.